Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Bashrat Din, and thank you for joining us on Webinar Wednesdays, our very first webinar of 2013. And the subject of this morning is Work in the Future with Google Apps. So I do appreciate you taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to spend an hour with us this morning, learning more about how Google Apps can help you be more productive and change the way that your staff and organization is working and collaborating. So let's just take a moment to do some introductions. As I said, my name's Bashrat Din. Feel free to call me Bash. And I'm the Managing Director of ZumZum Limited, and we're proud to be one of the first Google Apps Premier SMB resellers in the UK. So we help all kinds of businesses migrate away from legacy systems and embrace the wonderful world of Google Apps. And I'm joined this morning by my co-host from Google Enterprise, Brian Coffey. So, are you there, Brian?
Hi, Bash. Can you hear me?
We can certainly hear you, sir.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I manage Google Apps for SMEs in the UK and Ireland, and I've been working with partners like Bash and ZumZum to help get the message of Google Apps out and help onboard people.
Super, thanks very much. So after this very brief introduction, I'm going to hand over to Brian, who's going to talk you through the value proposition of Google Apps. And just to reconfirm a little bit of housekeeping, just to let you know that all participants have been muted just to minimize the background noise. And please do look for the chat window in the WebEx application on your desktop. So as and when you think of questions, please feel free to post those online, and we'll answer them either during the presentation or cover some of that material during the demonstration that we're going to cover on. So Brian's going to take you through the value proposition, and then we'll spend the majority of the time this morning running through a very high level demonstration of Google Apps and any of the functionality that you want to spend more time exploring, or any questions that you want to cover in more depth. Either post them in the chat window, we'll cover them at the end, or reach out to you on a one-to-one basis. So we are recording this webinar, and we'll post that on our YouTube channel that you can then share that with your colleagues. So without further ado, I'd like to just hand over to Brian.
Great, thanks, Bash. Yeah, so as Bash has said there, this presentation today is about work in the future, and what we're really talking about there is a new way of working for businesses across the world. In reality, I mean, there's millions of businesses already doing this, so it's not quite work in the future. There are companies that are embracing this now. And if we move on to the next slide there, we can see myself and Bash would talk to customers quite a bit, and there's a number of trends that we see that are changing the way we're working. I'm just waiting for the slide to swap.
It has moved on, Brian. So
oh, it has. Okay, I'm sorry. My WebEx might be slightly behind. Apologies. So when we're talking about the trends that we're talking about, there's global, as you can see here. So we used to be restricted to working with companies in the same location, speaking the same language, and now we work with everyone. When we talk about together, it used to be very difficult to share information and collaborate beyond the four walls of our business, and now we work across companies. And then speed, we used to believe that the big guys always led the markets and always tended to win out in those markets. We now know that time to market and ability to adapt tend to win out. we look next slide, then the Thomas Friedman's prediction in 2005, very quickly came true. We now see people from all over the world competing for the same role, since they no longer need to rely on language or location, and instead tend to rely on their abilities. When we talk about togetherness again, Linda Grattan of the London School of Economics, she recognized that businesses will thrive based on their ability to network across the global ecosystems of businesses, suggesting that it's these networks that will in fact determine the value of an organization. And finally, looking back at speed, HTC are in a market where speed is and consumer desire for innovation are really crucial to their success. And in 2011, they released a number of devices. Now, 2012 was a different story. They weren't quite as successful, but it gives you an indication of, if you compare that industry to something like a car manufacturer who released, maybe a couple of vehicles a year, you can see that this market dictates rapid product innovation, and working in the future allows you to do that. So looking at work in the future and what it actually means, what we would say is the past was really about personal productivity. So having talented minds locked away in cubicles to work tirelessly on independent ideas that never really evolve. The future is about working together across historical boundaries of location, language, and indeed within the company. And it's available today, and it's available by using cloud computing. So if we take a look at what this new way of working means, so again, going back to together, we've moved from personal productivity within the company to a global collaboration across the companies. Anytime means that work no longer needs to happen 9 to 5. It can happen. It happens when it needs to happen across the globe, around the clock. And that doesn't mean that you're always switched on. It just means that if you do need to respond to something, you can. Anywhere, we are no longer chained to the office and its expensive PC equipment or its expensive PCs. We can instead do our work from anywhere. We no longer need to have to worry about purchasing more hardware to cope with the scaling of the company. And we're finding a lot of business, bring your own device is something that we're seeing increasingly happen in companies where staff have their own devices that they're using to work on. And finally, any device, which sort of follows on from my last point, where we used to be restricted to using a PC located in the office. We can now use any device that's internet enabled or has a web browser. So again, you're not tied to any one particular device. So that really is made possible by the cloud. As it says there, any team, any place, any time, any device. And we have more than 5 million businesses signed up to Google Apps already, with over 40 million users. Over 5,000 are signing up every day, and these are some of the more well-known brands. If you prefer to have a look on our website, we have case studies available, driven down by industry or company size. So if that's something that you want to have a look at, to look at your own industry, you can go onto our website and you'll be able to see it. But just looking at some of these businesses and what they've said, first of all, on the business needs, the first thing our customers talk about is, for example, what Delta Hotel says. They talk about speed and reducing their end-to-end budgeting process by 30%. Focus at Cinram illustrates by refocusing IT resources on business-critical projects. And then productivity, with McClatchy highlighting the collaborative nature of Google Apps. And then Google sort of prides itself on building applications with the user in mind. So if we look at what Roberto Cavalli said, or what their user said, is that they found the ability to be creative very satisfying, and the appreciation they got for their employees because of that. When we talk about adoption, where Holds employees wondered why they hadn't adopted Google Apps sooner, and then inclusiveness, why, with Brady outlining how Google Apps brought teams together across language barriers and time zones. So let's have a look at what does it actually look like, and what are the, when I say work in the future, obviously I'm talking about Google Apps. If on the next slide we can see there's a few of these applications that are available. This is by no means all of them, but Bash is going to go through a demo which will go into more detail, so I won't spend too long on them. But Gmail is the intuitive and powerful email. The consumer version is already loved by hundreds of millions of users, and you get to choose how you communicate in it, be it email, chat, call, or video. We have Google Docs, which is real-time sharing and editing. It makes collaboration as easy as creation. You can see the edits being made in real time, and we'll demo that a bit later. Calendar, it's designed for teams or individuals, depending on what you want, and it just helps teams or individuals stay organized and find time together. We have technology there that allows you to solve difficult problems like rescheduling a complex meeting. Google Sites allows you to, organize all your content into project sites or team sites, and it just allows you to keep your teams on the same page. So almost creating an intranet within the company, and it just brings context to all the projects or the company information. And finally, Google Plus is a sort of a later addition to the Enterprise Suite. So it allows you to share ideas and build relationships across your businesses and throughout the ecosystem of, say, your customers, your suppliers, or your partners. But we also have the video conferencing software on there as well, so you can have multiple people on a video conference and you can be sharing your screens with each other. So if we're looking back on what the overall package, so in the past, you had traditional software to work primarily with people inside the company at a physical office between 9 and 5, and by using a personal computer. Whereas Google Apps enables you to work in the future by allowing you to work with global teams inside and outside the company, anytime, any place, on any device. So we haven't really looked at every part in detail, but Bash is going to go through a couple of these applications, and especially the demo. I think is probably the most interesting bit for you guys to listen to.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that overview, Brian. So any delegates that, of course, think of any questions, feel free to post those in the chat window. And as Brian said, this is an extremely deep and rich functional set of applications. There's a whole suite, and you might be interested in deploying parts of the application and utilize other aspects of it as your understanding of Google Apps evolves. The beauty being, though, with Google Apps, when we actually look at it from a pricing and packaging point of view, it's very, very simple. There is one package called Google Apps for Business. It's very simple in terms of pricing. It's only £33 per user per annum. Break that down on a monthly basis, it equates to something like only £2.75 per user per month. So very simple to understand, very easy to actually deploy, and takes that traditional IT model and throws it out the window in terms of large upfront capital expenditure, and turns this into a very scalable, manageable operating expense. And of course, you can budget for that much more easily because it includes upgrades and new features. So the rate at which Google innovates and launches new features, you're always on the latest version. And probably worth covering the third point on this slide, because not only does the fee include new features and updates, it also includes a 99.9% service level availability. So the uptime that Google manages to achieve with its infrastructure and its platform and delivering these applications is by far the best in the industry and world class, and is actually exceeding that 99.9% figures. That's the quoted. And unlike many vendors, Google's not excluding any downtime for what it calls scheduled maintenance. So there is no such thing as scheduled downtime. So when you're looking at some of the alternative products and even your own systems, just think about how often your systems need to go down to have a patch or an update or an upgrade, or in worst case scenarios where there's an outage in your service. So the Google infrastructure is available 24/7, 99.9% service level availability. And should there be an issue for paid customers such as yourself using Google Apps for Business, there is a hotline number that allows you to pick up the phone and call the Google support desk and reach engineering and support, log your case and have issues solved. And even administrators get some assistance in how-to type questions in terms of how to configure the dashboard and make available that functionality to your end users. That is extremely great value when you look at that relatively small fee of £33 per user per year. And of course, moving to the cloud, Google also respects the fact that you may well have inherited or accumulated on-premise systems in the past. For example, your directory services or infrastructure required for managing your list of users. So there are a number of connectors available for integration for enterprise customers, and that integration really is not long, complex projects. It's very simple package connectors that let you download a piece of software to connect things like Microsoft Active Directory up to Google Apps. So you continue to provision your users in the Microsoft platform, and they're automatically added and removed in your Google Apps system, and even being able to allow users to continue to use their traditional PC username and passwords, so syncing passwords is part of the proposition as well. And although we're going to try and convince you that the real magic in Google Apps and products like Gmail happen by working in the browser, it's where all of the innovation is happening, it's where you get the major benefits of being able to work from any device on any platform, because your common denominator is a web browser. We realize that some of your users may have a long-term attachment to PC-based products like Microsoft Outlook. So in certain tactical situations, you might decide that the effort and the change management required there doesn't warrant that investment, and what you'd like to do is allow those users to continue to use desktop applications like their email client and have that synchronizing with the Google Apps services in the background. So effectively replacing like a Microsoft Exchange server or Lotus Notes server or GroupWise, and replacing that with the Google services in the background. But of course, those users will then realize that there's a rich amount of functionality in the browser, hopefully led by other users in your organization, and will start switching over to the browser-based application. But a huge amount of client connectivity included there, not only from desktop products, but also mobile devices, traditional devices like BlackBerry, and new types of devices as well, whether they're your iPhones, your iPads, your Androids, and as you'd expect, the Android is very, very easily integrated and works very, very well with the Google Apps suite. There's one additional add-on that's an optional extra. You'll see there in the bottom right-hand corner, Google Apps Vault for archiving and e-discovery. And today that works as an email archiving system and a chat archiving system for all inbound and outbound messages, and that'll be extended to include other types of content as well, including, for example, things like documents that you store inside your Google Docs. So as you can imagine, this is a whole suite of applications, and we're not going to cover every single function, nor are we going to be able to show you all the rich functionality in a very short demonstration. Although what we are going to cover today, of course, right here at the top, one of the most attractive aspects of Google Apps is that Gmail is a consumer product that's been tested and proven to be bulletproof with hundreds of millions of consumers. That's its testing ground, and Google has launched this a few years ago, and as you see, 5 million businesses that realize that Gmail interface is a far more superior user experience for business users than in the other email clients. So quite often the hook and the entry point to get an attractor to Google Apps is driven by this huge email inbox of 25 gigabytes, industry leading. You know, the competition is always trying to catch up. And one of the great things that we're going to show this morning, and one of the things that I absolutely love about it and couldn't survive without any longer, is the ability to just keep every single email and search for it and find it in a few seconds when I type in a search term, as if I'm searching Google. And what happens is once you start working with that Gmail interface, you'll notice Google Talk, which is not only instant messaging, but voice and video communications built inside the browser. And the recent innovation that Brian mentioned from Google Plus brings a multi-user video conferencing system with desktop sharing in that simple £33 per user price. So this is something that would have cost organizations tens of thousands of pounds to implement, and now is available at a relatively small cost and very, very easy to implement. And again, the magic is happening that all of this lives inside the browser and on your mobile devices, so being able to connect and share from wherever you are. Well, we're not going to touch on groups, but allowing your users to create their own groups and tools for sharing. So, for example, being able to create your own calendar. You know, many people take that for granted, but Google again innovates around the calendar and turns it almost into a very, very powerful scheduling system. Google Drive has matured from a set of Office productivity tools like a word processor, spreadsheet, presentation, being able to create your own content inside the browser, to something called Google Drive that is an online storage service competing with many of the popular consumer type products out there, except that this is really designed for business users to store anything and share it in a secure manner and access that, as we've repeatedly said, from any location on any device. So getting rid of your in-house document storage service and being able to access that through your browser. And for those users that continue to use their Microsoft Office products, again, if there's a valid business reason or an attachment to Microsoft Office, Google Cloud Connect brings some functionality there that allows users to see co-authoring in Microsoft Office documents. So no more sending backwards and forwards various different copies of documents and then trying to reconcile that, you know, whether it's budget spreadsheets or customer proposals or marketing documents. We've all been there, we've all sent them out, and then have multiple versions. You never know what is the right version. So, you know, you can get rid of all of that by creating one document in Google Drive or even adding co-authoring to Microsoft Office. And we're going to show you the web-based applications this morning because they're, you know, significantly more powerful. And Google Sites is about empowering users to be able to easily and quickly create sites, whether they're for collaborating with colleagues, with project members, customers or suppliers, as easy as using a word processor, quickly create a site, whether IT deploy that as an intranet site or users create ad hoc project sites to bring together all of that content and have one place to go. All of this is hosted on the Google infrastructure, being able to create, edit and delete sites without ever having to ring anybody in IT, without having to consume internal resources like servers and infrastructure, and have that run as bulletproof as going to google.com. So you can see a huge amount of functionality there. Google Vault, we're not going to demonstrate that this morning. We said it's an add-on that you may want to consider, and a wonderful place to go and explore other applications. So once you buy into the cloud-based model and the Google Apps platform, you'll realize that there's a marketplace just like the consumer marketplaces, except this is a bunch of business applications built for organizations that might want to deploy other types of functionality. These applications are transparently integrated into Google Apps, and just like a consumer marketplace, you can see here in the bottom left-hand side, type in your keywords, search for applications, read the reviews and testimonials, and if you are interested in testing that, download it and install it, and that happens within 4 clicks. There's not even a download. It's all running on an infrastructure in the background and then becomes available in your browser interface, from simple add-ons like expense sheets to full-blown accounting systems and CRM systems. So huge amounts of applications. Go and have a look for it. Google Apps Marketplace, type that in your browser or Google it, and you're going to see a wonderful marketplace there that allows you to add in third-party applications. So let's give you a whistle-stop tour of the Google Apps suite. And typically, I start my day by logging into my email client. So you'll see here a traditional Gmail interface for those of you that have used Gmail in your personal life and consumer life, as I have, or any other web-based application. That's just evidence that we all do that as consumers. We use browser-based applications, and this is Gmail as you would know it, except, of course, it's using your own business domain there, and we've got a little bit of branding with our own corporate logo there. You'll notice that what I have is the chat window on the right-hand side, so it's all integrated into my environment, and here's where the magic happens with the search box at the top. Of course, you can see that I can access my other applications here transparently, and any of the third-party applications that an administrator has implemented, you can see that they're available to me because I've been deemed as a user that might want to use one of these third-party applications by the administrator. And because I'm already logged into my Google system, it takes me directly in and logs me into these third-party applications. So you'll notice some of the other Google applications and third-party applications all available through a browser. So a lot of different applications that you can build on top of the Google infrastructure. And of course, you'll see lots of different emails, and you'll notice that I'm actually tagging those emails with visual labels. So as users would expect to be able to see and explore their folder structure on the left-hand side, Google takes it to the next step, and these folders are actually called labels, and it allows me to actually tag each one of those individual emails with multiple labels. So when I'm looking at those emails, of course, you can see this one here. It has multiple tags inside the same email. So whether I'm looking to find that in the inbox or in one of these other folders, there is only one copy of that email. It's just tagged in multiple different ways. And a nice little innovation here as well that I find super useful is that somebody shared a document with me without leaving my email. I can actually preview and see that document, which happens to be sitting on the Google Drive in the background, and I've not even had to download it, and of course I could reply and comment to that content straight from there. And of course, Google pioneered the idea of conversation view. So you'll see here we have an email chain that started off with a single email. A conversation goes backwards and forwards, and we can see all the various participants that took part in this conversation, and I can see them in one click, or I can review the whole history as well. So love it or hate it, but this is one of those innovations that I absolutely love. instead of reading multiple emails or trying to find all related emails, Gmail does that for you in the inbox and brings it straight to your attention. Notice that when I'm looking at an email from this user, Bashrat-Din, so I'm logged in as the demo account. We've also got the Google gadget over here on the right-hand side that gives me a little bit of profile information, allows me to see some details of recent emails or documents that we've shared and collaborated with each other. It even shows me the different people that are involved in this email conversation. So allows me to find out more about this user. And I can see this user has actually posted something on Google Plus, and it brings it to me in my Gmail interface, and I could plus one from here or not. But let's show the magic of the search. If I just search for an email from Paul, again, within a few milliseconds, it's brought back all the content that has Paul in the email address or the subject of the email, brings a little profile of Paul, and I can choose to chat or hang out in terms of the video conferencing with Paul as well. And if we see this particular email here, you can see that I've got a test email from Paul, and knowing that Paul's actually online, I could choose to reply to chat. So in those instances where even email is too slow, I prefer to switch to instant messaging, being able to have a real-time conversation. And if I'm feeling that a voice conversation or video conversation would actually be more appropriate, I can immediately switch to do a video conference. You see, all of that is opening up inside the browser without having to download any software to my desktop. We'll just wait for Paul to join the video conference. Good morning, Paul. Morning, how are you? Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah, doing very well. And Paul and I could do some screen sharing if we actually wanted to as well. And there's a bunch of other third-party applications that we could stick in here if we really wanted to spend some time, put some sound effects in there. But of course, you know, let's have a serious business meeting, and we'll show you how to do more of that a little bit later on. I'll call you back a little bit later on, Paul. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now, when I go back to this conversation that we've had with Paul, that on the left-hand side, again, one of the great things about using Google is that you'll notice that the conversation has now been extended, say that we switched from an email conversation to a chat conversation, and that went on to a video call as well. So all of that is then stored and retrievable in a safe manner inside the Gmail interface. So everything that I actually need is straight there. Again, there's just overzealous with the mouse there. Let's go back to the inbox, have a look here. You'll notice that, again, I'm getting alerts directly from the Google Plus interface, and I can see Bash's profile on the Google Plus interface. That Google Plus is integrated throughout Google Apps, so you'll notice I've added this user to various circles. So these are collections of contacts, and of course all of those contacts are also available to me in the Gmail interface as well. So going back to the label concept, of course I wouldn't individually spend my time tagging every single email. What I would do is to be able to automatically filter messages like this. So based on a sender's email address or any other criteria that I choose to apply, I can automatically tag new inbound emails with a particular label that exists in my demo system. Let's just tag that with priority, and all those conversations that we had in the past. Now, whenever I get an email from this particular user, it's always going to have the tag priority. So it'll help me automate the task of storing those emails, tagging those emails, and moving those to appropriate places as well. So huge amounts of functionality in there directly in the Gmail interface. Of course, I can switch to any one of my applications. A new browser window opens up. And just like any of the Google applications, you're going to notice no matter where you are, you're going to see a search function. So, of course, with Google's pedigree in the online search business and the search engine business, all the content that you build and store and upload into Google, whether that's emails, documents, or calendars, is automatically indexed to give you the ability to, of course, retrieve that very, very quickly. Here you'll notice that we have a bunch of calendars on the left-hand side. I could choose to see what Bash is there with a very pretty pink colour that he's got. Add Ray on there, see my UK holidays. And of course the calendar works in overlay mode, which allows me to find a convenient spot. And maybe I say, let's have lunch with Ray on Saturday at 1, and just throw that into the calendar, and the calendar's clever enough to put it into the 1 o'clock slot on the Saturday. Of course, I can edit that. I can invite guests as well. So if we wanted to invite Bash to that, see what rooms are available or what resources. Notice it's clever to see what date I was looking for, and I've only got these resources available. And indeed, the software can automatically find a time for you as well. Go ahead and save that meeting and send out the event invitation. And I can also see that I've reserved Bash, although he's not confirmed that yet, I've reserved him for that meeting in there as well. And it's super easy for a user to be able to go off and create a new calendar. You know, if that was going to be my new project calendar, I can very, very easily create that calendar. And once I've created that calendar, choose to share it either within the organization or outside the organization. Let's share that with a user inside the organization. So this could be our new project calendar. Go ahead and create. And now I, as a user, have added a new calendar among my calendar lists. And of course, I could give it a color to help me represent events in that calendar as well. So of course, when I'm creating a new event, there as sudden is our project calendar, and let's just call it test and go away and save. And I can add and remove calendars very quickly and share them with other people within the organization, and we'll go on to show how I can share that externally or add that into a Google site. Of course, with Google Plus being added as the backbone of all these applications, you'll notice that you can also add a Google Hangout, so arrange meetings and use the video conferencing facility so you can access them directly from within that calendar interface, and you get your reminders and alerts there as well. So moving over to my Google Drive, and what I've got here is a set of folders that happen to be my folders, and also a bunch of content that is shared with me as well. Of course, I can search for that immediately at the top. So if you're the kind of person that wants to have a bunch of folders, as we can see here, a demo folder, or just type in a keyword, and anything that matches in terms of not only the label, but the body of the content that contains keywords, whether they're images or PDFs or other types of content. So you can see here that we're storing, we can store various types of file types, and what Google is doing is actually rendering that document inside the browser. So here we have a video that we've loaded up, and that we can easily and securely choose to share by simply clicking the share button on the left-hand side. I could always share that with somebody inside or outside the organization. And again, that all depends if the administrators enable that or not, to allow users to view it or comment on it. So I'm going to give you view rights and share and save, and I've now added that new collaborator to my list of people that can actually view that document. So regardless of where you are, you'll notice that, again, I can see various types of content here. There is a Microsoft Word document here. We're not editing this document inside the browser. All we're actually doing is rendering that document. So I've loaded up the document inside the browser, haven't actually changed the content in any way, and all we're doing is viewing that. As you can see here, another example, I have a zip file. Without having to download that to my desktop, I'm able to see files inside there, and clicking on one of those files, you can see that I get a representation of the Excel file inside my browser. Now that works fine, but of course I can upload any content, have a file from my desktop, and just to go upload, and at the time it's asking me, do I want to convert it or leave it in its native format? So if I just want to use it as a place to store any kind of file type like a Word document or Excel, I can leave it in its native format. Or if I want to work with it real time inside the browser, I'll choose to convert. And then I've just loaded that up, I click a link, and of course that's now visible to me inside the browser, and I can choose to send that off. And of course, because these collaborators have got sharing rights on the folder, I don't even have to share that individual file. So you'll notice that I can actually share whole folders rather than an individual file. So just like a traditional file system, you'd have a whole folder structure that you've shared within your organization and allow you to drop files in those relevant places. Now, the magic here is that if you choose to actually create new content, you notice we can create documents, presentations, or spreadsheets. You know, let's give you an example of creating a spreadsheet in the browser. So my budget, and go OK. And of course, here on the right hand side, as you've always said, you can see the share button, and I can throw in numbers into there and text labels and anything that you want. Now, in good old Blue Peter fashion, what we've got is a document here that is a word processing document that we've created already with a little bit of content in there. And what I'd like to do, you can see here, I can see some other collaborators in the document. Morning, gentlemen. Let's update the content. Excuse my typing. Let's just correct those and click OK. And not only can we have this chat conversation within the document at any stage, we can all start updating the content of that document, and you can see various different collaborators working inside the file at the same time. Now that means there's one document that we're all working on at the same time. This is one of the real wow factors and one of the unique propositions of Google. The real-time collaboration really differentiates this from many of the products out there as well. And of course, we can all have a conversation here, so I can comment on that, and if I plus Paul, say, can we get that discount? And Paul will be notified via email that he can actually, he's had a comment within the document. Other users, of course, can update the comments as well. And all of this is happening real time inside a single document there as well. everybody gets an email alert, and if we choose to, I could say that that comment is now resolved. At any stage, if I want to, I can go back and there's a question from Kristen that we will come back to. I can look back at the revision history. So we can see at a date which user made changes, and I can see Ray is coloured in blue there, so he made them at that stage. Of course, as the owner of the document, I can see that the demo user got rid of that figure there. Paul made that change. I could always restore and revert back to a previous version if I wanted to as well. So all of that collaborating on any kind of document, a word processing, spreadsheet, presentation, all happening inside the browser, whether you're on your mobile device, you're on your tablet, or you're sitting at your computer at any location, we can all work and collaborate inside that document at any time. And let's say thank you. No more emailing backwards and forwards various copies of that actual document. So as I say, that's one of the real wow factors to look at in terms of how you will change and how that can save you time and effort, make you much, much, much more productive. So unfortunately, I don't think you can use third-party fonts here. That was one of the questions that actually came out, or company-owned fonts, but there is a rich set of, there's a small list of fonts that are actually available within the system, and you can add other fonts, but you can't load up your own fonts here. So Google Drive and Google Documents allow you to create and store and share content. And of course, you'll notice here that I've got Google Drive actually installed on the computer, which means that when I look at my local file system that happens to be on a Mac, I've got a folder called Google Drive, and you can see that here I've got a copy of all the content that is stored online. The Drive client runs on Android, it runs on Apple iOS, so whether you're on your mobile, your Mac, your PC, if you're the type of person that wants a local copy, an offline version, of course all of this can be accessed through a browser, but you can of course have a file and say I want to take that file, I just want to drop it in my Drive folder, and once you drop it in your Drive folder, that file will automatically be synced up to your Google Documents in your Google Drive, and you'll see inside your browser, you see everything that's synced up. Of course, we've got a green tick next to it as well while it syncs that up in the background. So let's just go back to our browser window. So if we were working on a project together, perhaps what I'd want to do as a user is go off and actually create a site. It's very, very easy and simple to do. As we said, everything is browser-based. It's point and click. It's as simple as, project. It's as simple as using a word processor. Of course, the site is private unless I choose to share that with anybody outside the organization or inside the organization. I'm just going to start off with a blank template, but there are other templates in the system as well. So now a site is being created for me, hosted on the Google infrastructure. And this is a point and click interface. So I, as an end user, can simply create a welcome page. Welcome to my new site. Here we go with another project. And of course, I can choose to insert lots of different types of content. Whether that's one of the calendars that we've actually been creating. So we created a new calendar called Project Calendar. Let's maybe just add in T-Rotor instead. There might be something in there, but I'm going to put in demo because I know there's definitely some content in there. Just save that. Or I can insert presentations, photos, videos, everything that's stored in my Google Drive and my Google applications. Of course, I can store there. I can put my own logo on the back of there. You know, I've just embedded a calendar there directly into a site. I could, of course, go and add a new kind of page, and you've got various different types of page types, whether they're a file cabinet or an announcements page, a little bit like a project blog. So let's add that in and go create. And you'll see the menu system, of course, building up on the left-hand side for you. Once again, if I go back to my site and actually show you one that's already been created, let's take a demonstration site. And here what we've got, let's just take a slightly different site. Well, that wasn't the one that I was expecting to look at. Then with a little bit of time and effort, one can see here the type of site that you can actually create with some images, some icons, some video, and menus on the left-hand side that allow me to take me through to documents that are simply stored in my Google Apps environment, and I've added links into the Google site. So with a bunch of time and effort, one's able to create a number of different sites. All of that's done without ever having to ring IT. It's all hosted on the Google platform, and I can add and remove sites as and when I wish to. So finally, let's just take a very, very brief look at the Google Plus interface. As we noticed, Google Plus is appearing as the backbone throughout the Google Apps suite. Consumers are sharing and collaborating in new ways, very viral in their nature, and of course businesses are embracing that. Consumers are used to doing it at home. You'll notice here that of course I've got a notification that tells me that there are a certain number of posts in Google Plus that have been shared with me. I can click on one of those posts, and if I want to, I can go directly to the page, either the organizational page or an individual page here. And I can see that, of course, my chat window is here on the right-hand side, and content that's being posted by this organization, i.e. ZumZum, is available here on the actual Google Plus network. I could +1 it and add in other comments as you'd expect. Let's go. Congratulations. Well done. And post a comment. So of course, if I return to my profile as an individual in my demo account, I can see content. There was a Hangout. But what's absolutely important about Google Plus is that when I'm adding a new post, let's just add a photo and take a screenshot and go open, is that you'll notice that posts actually can be restricted to within the organization. So allow external sharing or not, notice that these posts are actually restricted to only be private inside the organization. So our new marketing campaign. And as soon as I share, I can post comments and update content and share information. I can share it with individuals, or I can share it with everybody within the organization. And as we said, it's restricted. So that content, if it's still in progress or private, will not leak outside the organization. So all of that is allowing you to share and collaborate and communicate. Of course, when new users in the organization come along, as you'd expect to do, you can keep up to date by following people or projects or organization and see what's actually been going on in terms of the type of content that's being shared. You know, new marketing images, whether it's actually documents that are being shared inside the organization, Here you can see that we posted a survey that we're asking users to do, a video presentation. So think of new ways of you sharing and communicating. Now, finally, one of the killer features of Google Plus is the ability to actually organize video conferencing and having multi-user video conferencing. So let's add Paul, let's add Ray, and say a bright idea, and choose to hang out. And again, this Hangout is all happening inside the browser without having to leave the web interface. I'm going to invite a couple of different users. Welcome back, Paul. Now, whether you're a user that's actually on your mobile device, you're on your desktop, you're on your computer. Morning, Ray. Hi, thanks very much. I am now going to share. Let's share. We can share desktops. We can actually share other types of content as well. Let's just cancel that. Let's add the Google Drive application. And here, thank you very much for that, Ray. A bright idea. Let's find that document that we were working on. Let's select it. And we can all be dived into the same document at the same time. And let's just update that. And we can have a multi-user video conferencing session with desktop sharing and document sharing and actually collaborate inside the same document. And that's amazing technology. You can have up to 25 people in a Hangout at the same time, all working on the same document. I think that really just comes down to real estate, the amount of space that you actually have on the document at any one time. You've got to love Google as well. It does allow you to have a little bit of fun while you're in there as well. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's enjoy our work as well. Obviously, consumers will love that, but there's lots of additional third-party applications that you can add in there as well. So, okay, gentlemen, I think that's the document updated. Thank you very much for joining the session this morning. You have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. And we can kill that off, and all of that has happened without leaving the browser. So I think we've now come up to our scheduled hour slot. Let's just take a couple of moments here to answer one or two things. There is a user asking why this presentation isn't done in Google. I think you should be pleased to know that I am actually using Google Presentations. This is a Google presentation tool. So, of course, we are using the tools internally, having loved Microsoft for many years. When we discovered all of this great functionality inside the browser, we don't buy Microsoft licenses for staff anymore. We pay a subscription-based service. And just to demonstrate that inside, I can go create presentation. Let's go create and share, just so you can see that that's that familiar interface here that you're looking at. That's a new presentation that we've created. And of course, the slideshow that we're talking about is a Google presentation because you can see the share button here in the top right-hand corner. I've shared it with other collaborators inside my organization as well. So we're just going to take a moment just to add another comment at all. Can Google Apps use a link to the company's internal Active Directory user so they can manage their passwords, names, etc., or are there two separate accounts which are not linked whatsoever? Tristan, that's a fantastic question. The answer is yes, you can link to your existing Active Directory system. So Google offers a connector. Of course, very important for organizations that use things like Microsoft Active Directory to add and remove users and to give them rights to resources in the organization. So there is a sync utility that allows you to create a connection from your Microsoft Active Directory, and it will sync to Google. If you add the user to Active Directory, it adds them to Google. If you suspend the user in Active Directory, it will remove them from Google. So you carry on managing your user profiles, their settings, their details, their passwords in Microsoft Active Directory, and this is all then synced up for you in the background. We've not spent any time showing you a control panel or administrator tools, but there is a bunch of administrator tools that an IT administrator and an organization would actually get hold of. So that's the kind of thing that we can follow up with you individually to show you how an admin tool would actually work. Why do you have InSync as an app? You still need InSync. I'm not sure what InSync is. Maybe you're referring to Google Drive. Google Drive is an optional extra that allows me, somebody's looking at my various apps in my apps list. Bear in mind that I'm both a consumer and a business user as well. So no, you do not necessarily need third-party apps like InSync, but of course you can use any other applications if you really, really want to. But no, it's not mandatory or required for Google Drive at all, Kristen. So no, that's not a prerequisite at all. So we've tried to give you a flavor of the Google Apps suite. Of course, there's a huge amount of functionality there, and we hope that this stimulates your interest enough to take it to the next level and explore your business case. You know, what would be your return on investment by switching from an on-premise system to Google Apps? And of course, not only about saving money, but the real reasons you will buy this are the soft benefits of improved collaboration and improved productivity, collaborating inside and outside the organization and making your people more effective in the way that they actually work. We are taking a recording of this. Yes, the presentation, you'll already find a previous presentation on YouTube, and this copy will be posted on YouTube as well. So it leaves me to thank you all very much for taking the time this morning. I hope you found that useful. I hope you found it interesting. We hope you will take the next step and find out more about how Google Apps can help your business. So thank you very much, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Please take care. Bye-bye.